Okay, we got another Mark 6 going on the dyno. We're going to do a little bit of a dyno comparison. This time it's going to be stock. We might actually be able to do it stock versus just downpipe, no software, and then we're going to put the Cobb Accessport on it and do another run to see what kind of gains we get over obviously the stock file. So it's already strapped down, just got to get it up to temperature, and we'll show you a couple runs. So we're going to do a second run. Clearly this vehicle is not stock. I'll have to find out from the owner what potentially could be on here for software. It did, I can't really tell right now actually. We're just going to back this run up and see what we can do. Run number 2. So, near identical to the first run, a little less horsepower. So the first run was 218 and 247 torque, and the second run is 214 and 252 torque. So very close to each other. The dyno graphs are following the same plot. So definitely not stock. I would say this is maybe sort of a stage 1 tune on this thing. It does have an intake. I can tell that the clutch has been replaced, but anyways, we're going to put the downpipe on and we'll put the Cobb Accessport, and we're going to try with the off-the-shelf file that they have for this thing. So time to get to work. 218, 214, 247, 252. As you can see, the graph is very similar between the two runs. The red would have been just the last run that we did. A little bit smoother, but let's make some more power. Okay, so the Mark 6. Downpipe's installed. Does have an intake. I think I mentioned it has was a little too close to the car. Upgraded clutch it seems as well. And the car was tuned. I originally thought, and the owner thought, that the car was stock. It is not stock. It did like 214 I think, and 240 something torque. You'll see it in the video. But the Accessport has been flashed to the car, and we're ready to run it again. So let's get to it. We're ready to give this thing its first test run with the new file on it. Okay, logging, ready to go. So we made 224 horsepower, 263 torque from the previous file. It is a lot smoother than what was on here. That probably is in relation to the downpipe being, you know, greater flowing. It is making, comparatively to the previous Mark 6 we did with the Malone tune and the Unitronic file, it is making about 20 wheel horsepower less, and Malone's file made a lot of torque, so it's making like 30 torque less. Now this was just the first run. We're going to do another run here. I was taking a look at the data log while it was running through. It seemed pretty decent, to be honest. I would just say it's probably just making a little less boost than because timing looked pretty good. It's just making a little bit less boost than what the other files were. So we'll give it a minute to cool down, and we'll try another run. Okay, we're gonna do one more run. We had lost the tack signal on one of the runs, so I just want to make sure we got good info on it all. The last couple of runs will look good. I'm filming all of this today by myself, so I have some in-car footage, some out-car footage. We're working with what we got today, so let's do this last run. All right, let's go. Okay, so we're pretty consistent. That run was 330, or sorry, not 3. We didn't gain 100 horsepower. 233 and 269 torque. So it's definitely looking a lot better. The previous run was 233, 265. So we gained 4 more torque this run. And yeah, it's looking pretty consistent now. It's evened itself out. I've had the fan on for the last couple of runs, just to make sure that we were kind of on an even playing field. I can say from looking at the boost while I'm running it, it could probably use a little bit more boost, which would help in the horsepower and torque department. If we gained, you know, another pound of boost or so, it would put us very comparatively to the other Mark 6 that we did. Now, I will state, if we're comparing this to the white Mark 6 we did with the 2 Malone Unitronic files, that car did or does have a full turbo back exhaust. This just has an upgraded downpipe with stock exhaust, so that's going to play a small factor in it. But we're very, very close. It's definitely picked up. I'll show you the graphs and stuff here in a minute, but in the mid-range power, it's gained, looking quickly, probably 50 horsepower. And the torque, low end torque, it gained a lot of torque there as well. So overall peak numbers wasn't a huge difference. I mean, we gained about almost 20 horsepower and 20 torque overall peak, but it's where the power is throughout the mid-range and low end that's going to be the big difference here. So we'll show you the graphs and then we'll wrap it up. We're going the wrong way. We're going the wrong way. I'll give it some time to cool down and see what we can do for this thing. Time with the buttons. Clayton, how do we do that time? Better? 235, 297 torque. Okay.
So gaining quite a bit of torque.
The horsepower is like super flat, which is weird.
Yeah.
It's like comes up to 230 horsepower at 4,200 RPM, and it stays that way until red line, basically. So definitely picked up a lot on the big end. And we'll show you that in a second. What do you think? A little more power.
Last 2 runs.
Yeah.
So.
Let's hope we get a little bit more and it gets a little more on track to where it should be.
Little pop.
Yeah, exhaust crackles are added, I guess. Okay, so see if I can get this thing to log properly. back 300 torque.
Awesome. Any more horsepower?
Yeah,
or?
238, 303 torque.
Awesome.
Yeah, looking good. Probably a little bit more horsepower to be had. Well, usually horsepower is going to sacrifice torque, so you might be able to squeeze a little bit more out of this on our fuel, looking at the timing and stuff, but this should be a decent upgrade from where it was. So this car was, I would have mentioned probably early, like in the previous part of this video,
Yep.
that he thought it was stock, so, and it wasn't. It had a stage 1 tune. So coming in, getting the downpipe done and putting the software on it, didn't get as much horsepower as he was expecting. And I think I said in the beginning of this video that there was a little bit more left in it. Well, as we can see, there's a bit more left in it. Here's when it came in. 218, 247, as mentioned, it would have been like a stage 1 tune. Originally thought it was stock. Then with the off-the-shelf file from Cobb, it did 233, 269 as the highest. And then now with this tune, it did a little bit more horsepower, 238, but 303 torque, got a big jump. And although if you look at the grass Clayton, I started the runs a little bit longer just based on what they required for the data logging. So although the torque band looks shorter, it's just the way I started it. However, out here, you can really see the difference. Before, the power fell off substantially, and now the power carries out, and he's gained a lot of power up top, so definitely going to feel different. The goal was to just run the car with what was on it, which the original or the owner thought was stock, which clearly it wasn't. So he's not getting quite as much horsepower and torque gains as he probably expected, because he probably thought the car was making a lot less power. But either way, really good gains, simple install. As long as the car's doesn't have a flash on it already, it's pretty simple. But if the car has a tune on it already, you really need to be cautious, because you will brick that thing. So that's kind of what we ran into with this. We had to make sure that we had the car back to a stock file in order to flash it. But that's it. So if you have any questions or comments, be sure to ask them below. And appreciate all the subscribers and the purchases on our website. And we'll see you in the next video. Oh yeah, don't forget to subscribe.